We're here with Judy Morio and Cheryl Green. And if you're wondering why Judy is going to be one of our featured speakers at Unstuck, I just have like a whole list of things. When people ask me about Judy, it's just like the original Wendy Ward beauty queen. I believe first woman on an infomercial. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these things, right? Owned her own modeling agency, speakers bureau, traveled the world. I believe there's a story about training the negotiators that helped release Mandela.
There's a bunch of those stories.
I know. Like, this lady has stories that are, in all love and sincerity, I refer to her often as the Forrest Gump of speaking, because every story is amazing and they're all true.
I like that, the Forrest Gump of speaking.
Like, literally every time she speaks, there's just another incredible story. So, share with us one of your favorite stories from the world of public speaking.
Oh goodness, one of my very favorite stories. See, I have a lot of stories about speakers who drove me nuts, but one of my favorite stories was the night I got to meet Nelson Mandela the first time. I was working with the Soweto newspaper in Johannesburg, South Africa, actually in Soweto, which is the next largest city to Johannesburg in South Africa. They run right into each other, so you kind of think it's Johannesburg, but Soweto it was the original. It was a black township, and so we had a newspaper there. Out of the 24 newspapers that were with the group that I worked with, the Sowetan newspaper was the only black newspaper, and it was during the end of apartheid. So the Sowetan newspaper supported the African National Congress to get freedom for all people and to get Mandela out of prison. And so Mandela came out of prison before he became president, of course. Right. And so because the newspapers had supported, we had several big functions that the newspaper was a sponsor of, and Mandela was in attendance at those functions. But my favorite of all, well, two of my favorites. My favorite was sitting across the table from him at dinner and, just having a conversation with a man like this, because this man not only became the president of a country, but he spent 27 years in prison. He had such a positive attitude. He talked about visualization and how he always believed he would walk free. He talked about all the negotiations. He talked about his life. He was an attorney earlier in his life, and there were so many things that were just fascinating. So part of my career as a speaker has been the people I've met. One night I sat next to Og Mandino, the man who wrote The Greatest Salesman on Earth. And my dad read that when I was a little girl, and my dad was like, this man can write. And I sat next to Og Mandino at a dinner, and that was awesome. So over the years, I think the people that I met were the most important part of my speaking, but the most fun trip ever was when I was hired to speak to the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and they flew me first class on Emirates Airlines. And on Emirates Airlines, first class is a private room, and you have you have a seat that lets you down into a bed, and you have champagne, and you have caviar, and they have a chef on board, and you can order whatever you want to eat at any time, and they make it for you. And you have a makeup mirror, and they give you all kinds of makeup and cleansers and skincare products, and it was just awesome. I said, now that I have flown first class to Dubai on Emirates Airlines, I don't have to ever go anywhere again.
And I think the rest of the story, if I remember correctly, is something like they flew in Thanksgiving dinner people for you.
Yeah, they did. Because I had to fly there on Thanksgiving Day, I missed Thanksgiving at home. So they actually flew a turkey over so they could cook it, and then they invited all the Americans they could find that lived in Dubai and had a big Thanksgiving dinner. It was really awesome.
So this is the caliber of speaker you're going to see at Unstuck. Nowhere else are you going to go in town where they're flying people in just to have a holiday with you. And Cheryl and I are going to tell stories about how we got to sit next to Judy Moore.
Oh, yes, isn't that going to be exciting?
Exactly. I'm excited to share a stage with you. It's an honor.
This lady, she's also responsible basically for Las Vegas.
No.
Because are you not?
No.
Were you not instrumental in bringing CES and
Instrumental,
builders
instrumental
to Las
yes,
Vegas.
Yes.
And so,
Well, I used to own a company called Universal Convention and Trade Associates, and it was we also owned Universal Models, which was a finishing school model agency, and the Convention and Trade Associates was to furnish personnel for conventions. Well, when I opened that, the convention center really weren't bringing big conventions to Las Vegas, but the convention center said to me, "Do you want to travel with us to sell conventions on coming to Las Vegas?" I had to pay my own way. They didn't pay for me. So I said, yes, if, when I go, I can sell my services. So the hotels each sent us a person, and then I went as a subcontractor. And we went to New York City and met with the CES people and had a wonderful event in New York with them, and they decided to come to Vegas, and then Home Builders, and then the National Association of Hairdressers. And it was so funny because those three conventions all wanted January, and January was kind of an off month up until then. And then all of a sudden we were so busy in January that you almost had to spend the whole year getting ready for January because we had three of the largest conventions in the world in January. Right. Which was, and they were back to back. I mean, they overlapped. While one was moving out, the other was moving in, and I was booking people, for this, and I was having to borrow people from all the other model agencies in town. Back then, we had about 6 model agencies here, and I mean, it was a big business, and I was booking 400 or 500 people for the CES show or the Home Builders show because they worked in the booths, in the trade show booths. So I had to train all those people on how to sell and how to present themselves, and so the school was quite big at the time too. So, and it's kind of fun now because I go to places like this, and I come to this TV station, and there's people that worked for me back then that now have their own shows on the TV station here, like Mac Jackson, for instance. I mean, Mac worked with me when he was 15 years old. And what is he now? Well, we won't say. He's in his 50s.
He was a dancer,
but,
yes.
Yeah, but even before he was a dancer, he was a model. He used to work the Ski Industries America show with me every year. Yeah.
So, Judy, obviously you can see why she's so amazing. But you're not a stranger to being stuck either. So you can teach us a lot about moving forward and getting unstuck.
Well, a lot of things happen in our lives. Like the modeling business was a big business, and we did really, really well. And then the Greyhound Exposition Services decided to put in their own model agency in competition with us. And now they were giving $1 a yard off the carpet if people would hire their models. So what did that do to my business? I mean, it hurt my business a great deal. If it hadn't been for the loyalty of the CES people, the Home Builders people, the broadcasters, a lot of the big conventions, Mobil Oil, they would have put me out of business long before they actually did. And so I was able to sell the modeling school and the agency, but not the convention service business, because at that time the business had actually moved on and I was just stuck there. So what was I going to do? Well, I ran away to Africa.
What else? Why not?
Of course.
That's how you get unstuck, you see. My dad used to say, there is no problem so big you can't run away from it. And so I figured, okay, the business is sold, the people are happy, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, and somebody offered me a job in Africa, and I thought, well, why not go?
It's amazing that you said that, because we're taught never to run from our problems. But literally, running away from it didn't really mean you ran towards something else.
Yes.
It wasn't like you were running away from your problems. You found new opportunities and new ways. So that shift was obviously what propelled you to become who you are today, which is awesome.
Thanks.
So, Cheryl, any last?
How do people get in touch with you?
How do people get in touch with me? Well, judymorio.com, JUDIMOREO.com, or they can call me on my phone, 702-283-4567.
And how do they check out the magazine? Because you've got a pretty nice magazine going
I have an awesome
there.
magazine. They can go to judymorio.com and sign up to get the free newsletter, and they'll get the magazine regularly as well.
So, Unstuck Happiness Conference, August 19th at the Smith Center. You can get your tickets at unstuckconferences.com. If Judy were there alone, it would be an amazing event, but we have 11 speakers. You will not want to miss this, and Judy obviously will be the headliner of those 11. So, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you. I'm really, really honored to be a part of it.
And I can't wait for August 19th, Judy's probably going to speak at the end of the program, and I'll speak earlier just so that I can be done and relaxed so I can take in everything that she has to say.
Oh, I thought you'd let me speak first, and then I could be done and relaxed for the whole day. No, I love being last. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.